Hey everyone, you caught me. I was just in here. This is my laundry room slash makeup room slash dressing room. I was just in here getting things ready for the show, so if you'll give me about 5 minutes, I'll be out and we'll get ready to cook. Woo! So much to do and so little time. So welcome to Cooking with Champagne, everyone. It's Monday, so that means we have a nice meal on tap for you today. And today I'm going to use 2 ingredients and we're going to make 2 different meals out of them. So what we're using today are mushrooms and onions, and we're going to make 2 separate dishes. So come on, let's get to cooking. So here, while I was getting dressed in the back, I already started my red onions. This is a large red onion that I just cut in medium diced. And I just let it sweat in some olive oil, put a little salt, and a teaspoon of brown sugar to help it caramelize. So that's all done. Now here I have mushrooms. The mushrooms that I chose to use are shiitakes and the button mushrooms. Now, you can use any mushroom you'd like. But for me, it's all about what's on sale. And for a lot of you out there, you're just like me. Lost your job, you're living on a very tight budget, so it has to be what fits into your budget. So the button mushrooms were on sale, so that's what I'm using. I'm just cutting them down in slices, and then we're going to just cut them in half like this. So when you're out shopping and looking for what you want to make, whatever's on sale is what you buy, because I truly believe that everything happens for a reason. Some of us lost our jobs, some of us are still lucky to have our jobs. But for those of us who lost our jobs and we're struggling right now, I believe we're going to come out on the other side even better than ever. So you just have to hold on. You have to have faith and you have to have hope. For me, hope and faith go together. Hope is the rope and faith is the big old knot at the end of the rope to keep you hanging in there. So as we live through these tough times, there's one thing we all have to do, and that's eat. So I'm going to show you this recipe, and we're going to make 2 meals out of it. Now with shiitake mushrooms, unlike button mushrooms where you can use the stem, the shiitake stems are very woody. You can't use these. You can put them aside and you can use them if you're making stock, but I just disregard them. So I'm using these with the button. And the smaller the cap on the shiitake, you're just going to cut it in half. If it's bigger, you cut it in 3s. So that's what I have here. Now, in this pan, with mushrooms basically are water content. So I want my pan nice and hot. I'm already heating it. And I'm just going to put a little drizzle of olive oil because I want my mushrooms to caramelize. They go in the hot pan and then we just leave them there. And they're going to let them do their thing. We don't touch them. Let one side get caramelized and then we'll just flip them around a little and the other side will get caramelized. But your pan has to be on high. So I'm going to crank mine up and let it do its thing. So you can see that our mushrooms are nice and hot and caramelized on one side. And all I'm going to do is swish them around a bit to get them a little caramelized on the other side. Now you don't want to cook mushrooms too long because what happens is because they're water, they disintegrate. So I have here a nice stem of thyme. I'm just going to put in some thyme leaves. I have a teaspoon. Thyme and mushrooms go so well together. So we're going to put that in. Let it get heated by the pan. And it releases its perfume. And we could use a little bit of salt and pepper on it too, just a little, because remember, these are going to get divided into 2 different meals. A little bit of salt and pepper on that. Good to go. And let's take these out and put them in a dish right here, next to the caramelized onion. Now in the same pan, have you ever had pierogies? These are, they look like raviolis, but inside of these you find beautiful clouds of mashed potato. Some of them come with cheese, some of them come with onion, broccoli and cheese. The ones that I chose for today are the 4 cheese. It has cheddar cheese, it has Parmesan, Romano, and they're just absolutely delicious. And usually when people make pierogies, you can find these in your frozen food section where you find the raviolis and tortellinis. Pierogies, they usually sear them, and that's what we're going to do in this same pan, and melt butter and eat them with a little bit of melted butter. But today we're going to make a nice sauce with our onions and our mushrooms, and we're going to add some peas to it as well for a little bit of protein. So just get that nice and oiled. And we just want to brown them on each side, and then we're going to take them out and build our sauce. So we're going to put our first batch in here. This is a nice big pan, so I could basically fit, I think there's 12 here. I could fit 6 at a time. You don't want to overcrowd it because then they won't brown. So we're going to let these brown on one side, and we'll flip them over and get them caramelized on the other side, and then we'll put them back in our dish. So our pierogies that are browning are almost ready, and what I'm doing right here, I have a few cherry tomatoes that I'm just cutting in half because we're going to use these in our sauce later. So there you have it, just a couple of them, maybe a handful. But our pierogies are nice and brown. Look at these. See how nice? You just want to brown those off. Look at that one, how beautiful. And now we're going to make our sauce after we take these out. So that's basically all you have to do with these. And they're just like I have a tablespoon of butter, and I'm going to put some olive oil with that and just let that melt, about a tablespoon of olive oil. And we're going to make a roux. This is a tablespoon of flour. And what the roux is going to do is going to give the sauce body. And then we're going to put our mushrooms and our onions back in. We're going to put some basil in here as well. So now that this melted, let's put in our flour. And this is what they use to thicken sauces. And all you want to do is make sure that you keep stirring this so the flour doesn't become lumpy. And cook it a little bit in the butter and the oil. This way that raw flour taste gets cooked off. While the pan is nice and hot, you would usually do this if it wasn't a non-stick pan with little at a time with a whisk, but you can't because this is a non-stick pan. So little at a time, keep on stirring, and your roux will incorporate into our chicken stock. This is what we have here. This is what we're making our gravy with. So we want to put enough chicken stock in here because we're going to put our pierogies back in there, and just let the flour work its way into the stock. It's going to give it a nice little thickness, and then we'll season it up. You see how it's getting thick, and all the flour is just melting into the stock. And what I have here is the fat-free, low-sodium chicken stock. I always have it on hand. You'll find different brands. Whenever they're on sale, buy them. They're always good to have in the house. You can make so many things with it. Can you see me? Hello! So, now that we have our sauce going, and we had to bring it up to like the boiling point in order for our flour to incorporate it, I'm going to put some garlic in. I use the crushed garlic. I'm going to use a half a teaspoon. Now, if you like more garlic than that, you know, it's your recipe when you start cooking it, so you put in as much as you like. I'm not a big garlic lover, and you'll hear me say it over and over again, so you put in as much garlic as you know you and your family like. So now, I'm going to lower this, and we're going to put our onions in because we're going to incorporate the onion flavor into this sauce. We're going to use half of these onions because don't forget, we're going to make another dish. Did I tell you what the other dish was? Oh, we're going to make some onion and mushroom quesadillas, okay? This is vegetarian. So if you like chicken, of course you can buy a roasted chicken in any store and just shred it and add chicken to it. But we're going to add some cheese to it, and we're going to use the whole wheat flatbreads to make these. But right now, this looks good. I'm going to put my pierogies back in here because these need to cook a little more. Okay, so we're just going to nestle those back in. And if you see that you need a little more sauce, maybe the sauce got too thick, add some more chicken stock. You can even add wine to it. Now that these are in, let's just toss it around so they all get incorporated into that beautiful little sauce that we made. Look at that. That looks nice. It looks creamy, doesn't it? And we didn't even use cream. But I'm going to add a little bit now, just a little bit more of my stock, because this is going to cook and it's going to help the pierogies to finish cooking off in this sauce. So let's put our cover on and let that simmer away for about 10-15 minutes. It all depends. You taste it, you know, you just got to keep your eye on it. So let that simmer. It's been about 10 minutes, so let's look at our pierogies. We have them on low. Beautiful. Look at the red onion. You could use white onion if you wanted to, but the red onion has a sweeter flavor and it brings a different color to the dish. So now at this point, 10 minutes, these are probably done because it's only dough. Here's a cup of sweet baby green peas. Ooh! They just popped out all at once. So we're going to put those in the dish, okay? We're going to let those warm up. The peas will give it some protein, and we can add half of our mushrooms and save the other half for our quesadilla. This is our button mushrooms, and we also use shiitake mushrooms. You can use portobellos and name it, any way you want to do it. Okay? This is just the idea. You make it your own. Look at that. That looks beautiful. Okay. Now to this, I want to add the little bit, let me put these peas back in. I want to add these little bits of cherry tomatoes, just a handful to give it a little red color. We'll cover that up, let the peas heat through. In the meantime, we're going to garnish this with some grated cheese and some basil. Aren't these beautiful basil leaves? Look at those. I love the smell of basil. If you have the basil plant, like I do outside, and as soon as you pick it, the smell just permeates the whole yard. So we're just going to cut these, and we're also going to use this basil in our next dish as well. So we're going to split this in half, because in our next dish with our quesadilla, we are going to make a sour cream sauce. So I'm going to split this in half, and we're going to chop this part that's going to go in the sour cream a little finer. But for now, the little ribbons will go perfect. I'm going to put that in the hot pan because I want the basil to heat up, and the basil will release more of its aroma and flavor. Just mix that around. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? One pot meal. Love them. Make this with a salad. Some crunchy Italian bread. Delicious. Okay, so let's taste it. Does it need salt or pepper? I'm going to get a mushroom, some peas. That's so good. And you taste the thyme? Perfect. Perfect. So let this sit here. We'll cover it. We'll shut off the heat. We'll move it to the side. And let's get ready for our quesadillas. So now we're going to make our next dish out of our mushrooms and our onions. And I have my grill pan right here heating up. It's getting nice and hot. I have it on medium. You don't want it too high because then it'll burn the bread. And I'm just going to spray this with some olive oil. Actually, this is canola oil. Better. So let that get nice and warm. So we're going to make our quesadilla. And I am using whole wheat flatbreads. They're wraps. You can buy these in any supermarket. Usually a quesadilla is one round one. They fill it and they put another round one on top. I find it hard to flip. So I like to do it this way. I use one. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take our ingredients. And by using one, you can fold it over and it kind of, helps to keep the ingredients inside of your wrap. So we're just going to fill that up with our leftover. And you can add chicken to this. You can add anything you want to this. I just left it vegetarian. Here are some of the onions. I'm going to put that on top. And these are so delicious and sweet because we add a little bit of the brown sugar to it. Perfect. I'm going to add some of my chopped basil on there. And then as far as the cheese goes, that's another preference. You can use any cheese you want. Asiago, Fontina, cheddar, name it. You could do it. Mozzarella. I have, this is a 4 cheese. Mozzarella, provolone, Parmesan, and Romano cheeses. Comes already shredded. All you have to do is just put it on here like that. And this is going to melt and make it nice and gooey and oozy. These are so good. So, I want to say thank you to everyone that went on the Oprah Winfrey website and voted for me because I'm trying out for Oprah's Next Big Star. I need a job. Hopefully it'll turn into something. But I need your vote. So thank you for voting for me if you've done so already. If not, please do so. Just log on. Go to Oprah's Next Big Star. I'm under the cooking section. Just type champagne into the little category. I'll come up and you can vote as many times as you want. So please keep voting, okay? We have another 2 weeks. The voting ends July 3rd, right before the 4th of July. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. So now what we're going to do here is take the flatbread and we're just going to fold it over. And what I want to do is just press this down. And with a little bit of my olive oil, I'm just going to put a little bit of that on and just rub it. This will help it to brown. And we'll do that to the other side as well. Just with your hand, if you have a pastry brush, you could do it that way too. So now I'm going to take this beautiful little half of a moon. Hear that sizzle? Nice. And by us folding it over, as it melts and you want to turn it, it doesn't make it as hard to turn. So I'm going to use my panini press. I'm going to spray it as well, just lightly, just to put it down. Woo! And it'll help it melt. So we're going to give this time to brown, and then we're going to turn it over. Let's check our sandwich, our quesadilla. Ooh, you see the cheese oozing? I think we could turn this. Ah, nice. See how sometimes it falls out? No big deal. We'll just put that back in the sandwich. Just stuff it right back in. Smells so good. You definitely have to try this, especially if you're a vegetable lover and a vegetarian. So we're going to put this back on and let it sear on the other side. We're just about ready to take off our quesadilla. See, and now it's nicely packed inside this little half of a moon. I'm going to use this and this. See, when it's open the other way, it's so hard to flip it. So let me take this like this. Oh, look how nice that is. Kind of like a panini quesadilla. So let's shut off our heat. Take this off. Let this rest a little bit. And while that is resting, I'm going to show you this quick sauce that we're going to make. Sour cream sauce. Usually they put sour cream or guacamole. So what I have here, I like the fat-free sour cream. I love sour cream. I could eat this out of the container. It's so delicious. So wherever we can save a few calories, do so. This is 8 ounces. It's only 1 quesadilla, so I'm going to use half of this. Of cayenne. If you don't like the heat, you don't have to put this in. And if you like it hotter than a pinch, then you put in what you like. I'm going to put in a pinch of that. I like the heat. And this is teriyaki sauce. I usually buy the light teriyaki because it's less sodium, but they didn't have it. So what I'm going to use is about a half a teaspoon. And all we want to do with this is just mix it together. And it makes a nice little sauce for our quesadilla. So you have a nice little reddish, pinkish hue to it. Salt comes from the teriyaki. Let's taste it. Good. The thing I like about it is you don't taste the heat in the beginning, but then when it hits the back of your throat, it gives it a nice little heat. I think I need just a little pinch of salt. That's why you taste things. And this will be perfect, good to go. So let's clean up and we'll plate everything and we'll taste it. Let's cut our quesadilla. And I want to do this in triangles. So all you do is take it, now that we let it sit a little bit, gives it time to let the cheese come together. Ooh, doesn't that look good? Beautiful. We're going to cut that in thirds. Make sure you have a nice sharp knife. Beautiful. I'm going to taste this a little bit. Ooh, nice. Let's put a little dab of our fat-free sour cream mixture on it. And let's take one of our pierogies. These are those beautiful raviolis that are stuffed with delicious clouds of mashed potato. I chose the one that has the 4 cheeses in it. There's many different kinds. You choose the one. We made it with our mushrooms, our onions, our peas. We added a little bit of basil, chicken stock, a little bit of the cherry tomato on there. How beautiful is that? That looks good, and it even tastes better. Let's put some grated cheese on that. Everything is better with cheese. So I hope you try these recipes. Go to cookingwithchampagne.com. You can download all of these recipes. You can leave me an email, okay? I love to hear from you. Believe me, I answer all my emails. You can check out the Champagne Lounge, the Words of Wisdom. And like I said before, Words of Wisdom. Remember, hope is the rope and faith is the knot at the end of the rope, especially for people who lost their jobs like myself, and we're just holding on until something good comes through, okay? But in the meantime, we have to eat, so try out these recipes. And make sure you catch your sales now. So let's taste this delicious quesadilla. We took our mushrooms and our onions and we made 2 different dishes out of them. This looks good. And of course, if you don't like mushrooms, you can substitute it for anything. Here we go. Very good. And it's not just because I made it. But you taste the sweetness of the onion and then the meatiness of the mushroom, the nice sauce on top, the crispy bread, love it. Here is our beautiful pierogies. And when I cut inside, you're going to see how beautiful they are. The cheese comes out and you have your delicious potato in there. Let's get everything on there. You see that? See, beautiful inside with the potato and the cheeses. You can get it with broccoli. Oh, so many different ways you can get these with onion. Let's go in and taste. I could eat that whole pot. I'll dive right in and gobble up every one of these. Wow, that's good. So, please download the recipes, cookingwithchampagne.com. It's a Monday. Have a wonderful week. Always a champagne toast to good eating. And thank you so much for stopping by and joining me. I truly appreciate it. Hopefully, I'll see you on Friday. You know, Friday's dessert and cocktails, the end of the week. The best way to wrap up the week is with dessert and cocktails. So, I'll see you on Friday. Until then, try these recipes, and here's a champagne toast to good eating.